Nasikia poa sana, furaha. Ndio mzuri sana, maana mawazo si sana. Majina yangu naitwa Joy na Jepkalumure. Mimi ni mkulima mfugaji ya ng'ombe. Mimi familia yangu niko na family 18. Siku hiyo watoto kitoka namna hii yalikuwa ngumu. Tukulikia tu na paraga hospitali, mimi na hatoshi kitu. Hata watoto shule haitoshi, hata insurance. Wakati hii teri alikuwa bado kufunguliwa, alikuwa ni ngumu, maisha ngumu sana. Sasa vile walifungua hii teri, sasa maisha ndiyo yakakuja mzuri. Niliona faida sana, maana kamua maziwa yako nabarika kwa teri. Nilijenga hata nyumba kujengia watoto yangu, fees ya watoto, insurance. Mimi niko na ATM visa. Sijajua hata kama nitakuja fuga ng'ombe ama nini. Alikuwa mtu naambia Mungu tutapangia nini yenye. Naangalia mbele. Sasa mimi naendelea mbele kabisa.
Okay, welcome back to the recap. We still have a full house, so that's a good job. I'm glad to actually physically see all of you here, and no one has dipped out yet. But we're really excited about this last session. You guys have taken the morning to process, and now we harvest. We've heard some of the challenges and constraints over the past 2 days, really looking at policies. As Lanre said, it's all about policies, good or bad. We heard this morning about power, agency, accountability, and we're excited to hear more. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to call up each group representative one by one, and you'll join me here on stage. We'll share your top 5 ideas. All of you had one question to tackle. How do we overcome constraints and take innovations to scale? And with that, let's get started. So group 1 was the group that was in this room. And would that representative please come to the stage? From group 1, yes. So you'd come and give your name and what organization you're representing. But before we get into that, so let's just, you can come on stage and yes, sit down right here. Let me surprise my RF colleagues, those that were moderators. Before we get into the top 5, I wanted to take 1 minute each to really talk about the broader framing of how you got to these top 5s in your group. So the group 1 moderator was Gary Tennyson of the Rockefeller Foundation. So Gary, why don't you share with us maybe 1 minute on sort of what the process was like facilitating the group?
We had a great group that had a broad range of representatives all the way from our sister who heads the farmer organization here in Nigeria, to our sister who's a minister from South Sudan, and then some of the representatives of the innovations. The 5 recommendations that Lati's going to present, we decided to focus on those things that we thought were a little less obvious. So finance came up as one of the first ones, but everybody knows finance is a problem. So what we've tried to do in the case of the 5 that Lati would present was identify the important ones, but maybe ones that were a little less obvious to the group as a whole. So thank you.
Thanks, Gary, that's helpful. That overarching framing before we dig into the 5 is often helpful. So, Lenny.
Yeah, so we came up with a very long list. So as Gary said, we try to pick 5, which are not quite obvious. So the first one was very strong political will, as we saw yesterday, the example from Nigeria. We thought we need this kind of leadership. But also the leadership need to be supported, actually. So we need to identify those leaders and support them, give them the support they need. So we talk about champion of change. So that's the one key solution that we thought we should really take to scale. The second one is building trust with farmers. And we had some example from our colleague that process cassava. How do you make sure that those farmers can really trust you and do business with you? So one of the solutions we come up with is really trying to make commitment. But before even you make the commitments, you have to assess that you can fulfill that commitment with the farmers. And also try to build a clear partnership mechanism with quite a responsible exit strategy. Because oftentimes, when you think about most of non-profit or intermediary, we are not there forever. So from the onset, we have to really make sure that there is a clear strategy for exit. And we want to make it work as well. The third one is the legal framework. We talk about like not most of the time maybe farmers are side selling or people are not fulfilling their commitment. So how do you put a legal framework in place? But that is not also very heavy. That can be implemented at the community level. So we had an example from, I believe, Zambia, where they have like this fast-track courts where case can be processed very quickly, within 2 weeks. So those kind of framework that we need to put in place. The third one is, the fourth one is incentive for youth. Yeah, incentive for youth and women. Yeah, women and youth, okay. For them really to be entrepreneur along the value chain. It can be at the production, but also can be at the value addition, processing, etc. So we need to find the right incentive for them to be involved. You know, property right came up as one key constraint. So how do we incentivize women? How do we incentivize youth to have access to land? Maybe to own land so that they can also use that as collateral, for instance. So that's something we came up with. And the last one is how can we start from the young age so that like from the primary school we can really involve children in agriculture. We have curriculum that are designed for children so that they can start learning about agriculture from the young age. So those are the 5 solutions that we came up with.
No, that's fantastic. So everyone from group 1, please stand. Fantastic. Let's give them a round of applause. The representative from group 2, please come to the stage.
Hello, my name is Betty, and I was the facilitator for Group 2. I must say it was a very exciting group. It was full house. I think I did a lot of marketing for my group. And I had an opportunity of having very good people in the room. The Minister of Zambia was there, there was Oxfam, there was the DATCO and ATPS and among others. And of course, when we started by highlighting some of the major constraints, which was a very long list. And then we narrowed down, we agreed among ourselves, what did we think were the most important challenges that needed solutions. So we have a bunch of solutions, I think 5 of them. And I think what resonated in the group was there was a whole discussion about the youth and their role in farming and agriculture. And we all agreed that Africa is not homogeneous, but will require rainbow innovation. So in our discussion, you see quite a lot of that. And I think that was it, Sidi. It was a very exciting session for us.
Thanks, Betty. It's really important for us to get a window into some of the groupings, because obviously we all couldn't be in all the discussions. But Kevin, why don't you drill down, introduce yourself, and drill down into your top 5.
Yeah, the group looked at so many things, and as just like group one, we had a long list of both challenges and solutions, but we had to prioritize 5 of them. The first one was how to improve access to finance. We thought, even though this is generally known, that practical solutions needed to be framed. And we came up with about 5 specific things that could be done. And one was peer pressure mechanisms, which has worked in microfinance, that needs to be applied in agriculture. Then creating incentive systems to make farmers really see the financier as a friend and someone that they need in order to be able to continue doing business. And one of that is actually helping the farmers through the farming process to ensure that they are profitable and can pay you back your money and still feel that they have made profit from you. Now, credit guarantee schemes has been talked about quite a lot, and we also thought it's still relevant but has some limitations. Managing the crops themselves, I mean the products of the farmer as the collateral, which means that the financier and the farmer has a joint goal of making sure that it succeeds, but then ensuring low productivity and also the acts of God will remain relevant in moving that forward. Now, the second area we talked about is actually sharing the information that we already have and improving access to these informations by farmers, especially in the rural communities. There was lots of discussions about the fact that even the Pan-African frameworks we have and the good work going on by CADEP and other African frameworks and platforms are not often known well within the continent. And there needs to be schemes to ensure that these things are shared and upscaled. The third one is also something well known, which is creating a favorable policy framework. But here we focused on a policy framework that enhances public-private partnerships to ensure that the government and the private sector is working with also the civil society and donors to bridge the gaps that are there, like investments, insurance, and the rest of the things. Then the fourth one is also known, which is gender empowerment. Here we talked about a lot of issues on how to actually solve this problem, because we keep talking about it and things don't happen in that arena. But then we just concluded that there needs to be a positive discrimination for women, and I will add, and youth, in order to create equitable access to resources like land, finance, and so on. And different kinds of incentives could be used to do that. Then the fifth one was R&D capacity. There was a general consensus that the research and development capacity within the continent is still not as competitive as in the rest of the world. So most governments and private sector go outside to look for information and consultancies. And there needs to be investments to upscale endogenous capacity in this area. And also there needs to be active measures for commercializing knowledge that we already have. A lot of technologies have been developed and are not being commercialized or adopted by the farmers, especially in the rural communities. And it was a big task trying to compress everything in these 5, so I hope I have not missed something really so important to the group. Thank you.
Representatives from Group 2, please stand. Excellent, thank you. So let me turn to the moderator for Group 3. Michael, give us a little bit of information around how the discussion unfolded in your group. And while you're doing that, the representative from Group 3, please come to the stage.
We have 2 representatives.
Okay,
we were more democratic than the others.
Some gender balance going on here. I love it.
So from our group, one of the wonderful things about the group, in addition to their active participation and willingness to debate each other and to challenge each other's ideas, was that we had a very diverse group with people coming from the business sector, from the nonprofit sector, those involved in policy, and so on. So it created a dynamic tension within our group that I thought created some very good proposals in the end as we engaged everyone in that process. We first identified a range of challenges to overcome, and those tended to dwell on the need for networking more than anything else, but among the many stakeholders involved in African agriculture. And those networks would be for the sharing of information, of effective models and so forth, but also could be a source of advocacy and power. So with that, I'll leave it to our rapporteurs to report on the 6 recommendations that came from this particular group.
Okay, Michael, two representatives, six recommendations. I mean, pushing the needle. So please introduce yourselves and share with us what the rich discussion was.
Thank you very much. My name is Olumide Faleke from Group 3. Like the 2 other groups, we had a very long list, and we were able to narrow down to 5 specific. And in the same vein, we emerged with the recommendations that suits each of those lines. So we have lack of access to funding and resources as one of the limitations. We have lack of enabling environment in terms of policies friendly to push our innovations, legal frameworks that are not currently clear in supporting the innovations, especially with the challenge around land rights, which is also a cross-cutting challenge, I believe. Then the other one is advocacy. To the effective advocacy has equally been a challenge. Probably we've not prioritized it as stakeholders, so it's one challenge that we were able to put across. Then the other one, in terms of implementation of these initiatives, engagement and participation of farmers has equally been an issue. If you follow the testimonies that came in yesterday, where the women group thought it was another 419. And these are factors that affect participation. So I think we identified it as one of the limitations that we're looking forward to addressing in the future. Basically, these are the challenges. Thank you.
And hello, everyone. My name is Tomi Mercy Ademogu, and I'll talk about some of the innovative solutions that the Group 3 came up with. And I'm with Oxfam in Nigeria. The first one was a great policy network in Africa. Yesterday, you saw the panel of Ministers of Agriculture and Minister of Finance. So we were saying that if we can create like a pan-African network of policymakers across the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Finance and other ministries that are particular to our issues, like the Ministry of Land, because of land access issues, a lot of youth engagement, so the Ministry of Youth, to try to have a network of all of these ministers across Africa and to have them talking to one another. We saw that that was very beneficial, especially here in Nigeria. If you saw the relationship between the Minister of Agric and the Minister of Finance, and you see how it has helped improve the agriculture sector in the past 2 years because of that networking and that relationship building. And then the second one is cross-cutting research, analysis data, and evidence-based advocacy material. So using research, evidence-based finding as a tool to get catchy facts, to lobby and advocate to key stakeholders at all levels. And the third solution was also capacity building. Capacity building, a bottom-up approach from the farmers all the way up to the policymakers and across the value chain. And then the fourth solution that we came up was accessing technology platform to link all stakeholders, including a deal market, to link buyers and sellers of innovation. So a type of technology platform to disseminate the information across to the farmers and everybody across the value chain, and also to the buyers, and disseminating it in a very user-friendly manner so everybody can have access to the innovation. So it's one thing to come up with the innovation, it's another thing to actually disseminate that information across various sectors. And then the next one is global advocacy campaign to create rules and norms for agri-investments and land. So making sure that we campaign and advocate to policymakers to create an enabling environment and norms to actually thrive the agri-business environment. And the last one is connecting farmers to markets, inputs, outputs, et cetera. So actually connecting them to the actual markets where they'll be beneficial, and not letting them be outside of the innovation, but really participate in the innovation strategy from the beginning and throughout the value chain. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Group 3 representatives, please stand and be recognized and appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. So now I'm about to enter into dangerous territory for myself because I'm going to put my boss to work, which is never a good thing. So I'm going to ask Mamadou, Managing Director for the Africa region for Rockefeller, to share with us in French and in English the outcomes from the window into that group, and then your representative, if there is a need, maybe you could help translate if your representative would only prefer to speak in English. So Group 4 representative, please come to the stage, and Mamadou, please give us a window into Group 4's world.
Okay, thank you, CD. It was also a very active group with a lot of participation. It was also a very diverse group with people from the private sector, from research, and also from government. We had the Minister of Agriculture of Niger there. So our approach was also very similar to the other groups. We first identified a long list of challenges and also debated to propose solutions to those challenges, to promoting and bringing to scale innovation. And then after that, also we came with a long list, and then we worked in prioritizing them, picking 5. That was not the most, that we felt were very important. We felt all of them were important, which made actually the process of picking the 5 a little bit difficult. So our rapporteur will present those 5.
Okay, please.
We have a translator. I can see the translator in the room. Okay, so I will just help her translate.
Thanks, Mamadou.
She will present.
Ok, bonjour tout le monde. Je m'appelle Kadiatou Kamara. Je suis le rapporteur du groupe des francophones, des marginalisés de la salle. Parce que nous, on va traduire pour tout le monde et malheureusement, ils n'ont pas traduit pour nous autres. Donc, on n'a pas bien compris ce que les autres ont dit dans le travail de groupe.
Okay, yes, that's really. I am Kadiatou, and I am the rapporteur of group of the Francophone group, the marginalized group in this, because what we are going to say is going to be translated for everyone, but what the other group said was not translated for us. So we are not going to understand. Didn't get that. Okay.
C'est vrai.
Donc, à la question comment surmonter les contraintes et promouvoir rapidement les innovations, notre groupe, à la suite d'une longue discussion, a retenu 5 recommandations qui nous semblent être assez fortes.
In responding to the question that was asked to all of us, our group discussed and identified 5 solutions.
La première recommandation, c'est le renforcement du système de recherche, vulgarisation et de la formation.
The first recommendation is to reinforce the research system, extension services, and training, particularly for youth and women.
Nous sommes partis du constat selon lequel la recherche n'est pas très bien développée dans certains de nos pays, plus particulièrement, je prends le cas du Sénégal, là où je réside. on voit que dans le secteur agricole, il n'est pas accordé une très grande importance à la recherche, aussi bien du plan de la budgétisation que du plan de la mise en œuvre.
The rationale is that generally research is not very developed, is not developed enough, particularly in the country where I come from, Senegal. So resources are not sufficiently allocated to support research, particularly in the agricultural sector.
Et comme tous les autres secteurs de développement, pour un bon développement du secteur agricole, il faut impérativement faire de la recherche pour ne pas partir du néant.
And in all sectors, to really have a good development, it is important to support research to advance those sectors so that what we are doing is not coming from nowhere.
Le second point est la mise en œuvre des lois et règlements qui faciliteront l'innovation et son adaptation.
The second recommendation is the development and implementation of a policy framework, particularly the implementation part.
Okay. Parce que si ces innovations ne sont pas suivies de lois et de règlements de la part de l'État, non seulement ça ne sera pas pérennisé, et ça ne sera pas aussi utilisé par une plus grande partie des communautés.
So, because if there is not a good policy and regulatory framework to accompany those innovations, it will be difficult to promote them.
Le troisième point, c'est le renforcement des partenariats entre le secteur public et le privé dans le financement de l'agriculture en mettant surtout l'accent sur les jeunes et les femmes.
And the third recommendation is developing public-private partnerships in the domain of agriculture financing, particularly for youth and women.
Parce qu'on sait que dans les pays du Sud, les pays en développement, les femmes et les jeunes constituent la plus grande masse de notre communauté. Donc, pour un programme de développement, il faut que ces couches soient prises en charge afin que ça puisse être quelque chose de concret.
We know that in this space, youth and women represent the largest group in the agricultural sector. So then these approaches need to target them to be efficient. Yeah.
Le quatrième point, c'est l'adaptation des outils de financement au secteur agricole.
And the fourth is the adaptation of financing instruments to the agricultural sector.
Nous avons constaté aussi que le peu de services financiers qui sont là pour le secteur agricole ne sont pas très bien adaptés parce qu'ils ont souvent un taux d'intérêt très très élevé ou bien ils sont inaccessibles aux petits producteurs qui sont le plus souvent les majorités dans le secteur agricole.
The fact is that the rare financing mechanisms that are available there are not adapted to the African agriculture. Yes, are not adapted. It's very difficult. Yes, the 2 points were that either it's too expensive in terms of the interest rate, or they are very difficult to access as well.
Le cinquième et dernier point, c'est le suivi et l'évaluation des collectes de données.
And the last recommendation is monitoring and evaluation system, as well as the collection of data.
Voilà, ce sont les 5 recommandations que notre groupe a élaborées. C'est parmi tant d'autres, mais nous avons pensé que ces 5 points-là sont les points les plus essentiels. Et quand on les pratique, peut-être que ça peut amener de l'innovation dans le secteur agricole dans nos pays en développement.
So we had a lot more recommendations, but those are the 5 our group chose to make here, and we think that if they are implemented, they could actually create an environment that facilitates or promotes innovation.
Merci.
Merci. Group 4, please stand. Those from group 4. Merci beaucoup. Okay, thank you, Mamadou. What we've seen is some common themes across all four groups, things around incentives, and it's really about incentives for what? Women and youth resonated strongly. research, partnership, information access, commercialization of knowledge, policy networks. These are all ideas and recommendations that we, as the Rockefeller Foundation, will take forward, take into our own development initiatives as we look at strategies going forward. And more importantly, we're going to disseminate this information widely, whether it's through public policymaker networks, whether it's through the private sector, civil society. So this information won't get lost and will be shared widely and shared back directly with you. Before I conclude, I'm going to apologize because given time and because of the dynamic presentations, we're not going to go to Q&A. You have a whole lunch around your table to have great conversations and to dig into the conversations a little more deeply if that's what you wish to do. Before I wrap this panel, I would like everyone to stand. Just a little exercise. Everyone stand. Nothing in your hands. This gets a little complicated. Everybody raise your right hand. Cross your body and give yourselves a pat on the back for a great job. Great group discussions, great dynamic, and have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm going to turn it over to Heather Grady, who will close us out. Thank you. A pat on the back.